How has the FiveFourFive brand grown their Instagram page to 185,000 followers and become a 7-figure brand in only the last few years, all with the power of social media? We're going to be talking about that. I'm Elijah Delport, and this is Brand Breakdown, where we are analyzing the content strategies of great clothing brands so that you can improve your own. Today, we're going to be looking at 3 videos from the FiveFourFive Instagram page, one of which is a cooking show. Another one is a story-focused lookbook, but before those two, we're going to be looking at a travel film that they've made. You watch the video first, and then I'm going to be analyzing it in a second. To go to Italy. I loved it, and oh my goodness, it just makes me want to go. But this is more about the story than about the product. It's about the travel lifestyle, or the Italian lifestyle anyway. And so this shows us the difference between okay or good clothing campaigns and great ones. It's that the great ones have a story focus and are deeply ingrained and consider the brand identity. FiveFourFive, if you didn't know, is a brand that represents the Italian lifestyle. So of course, what better thing to do than create a fashion film? Notice the music. The music, in this case, is Italian. It's speaking the Italian language. The feeling that this music is emitting is that of being young and free. If the faces in the film, they're young faces, but even beyond that, the sound itself, it represents a sort of freedom because of the sources and the films we associate it with. And this is powerful because people want to escape. People feel like they're stressful there in their job, they live in the city. And so the FiveFourFive product gives them a glimpse of this escape, that when you put this on, when you put on this jacket, this hoodie, this t-shirt, you get to become this person that's young, that's free, and they gets to do what they want and lives in Italy and lives this Italian lifestyle. And for the case of their customers that want to escape, their product becomes the solution. And this is a higher level thinking than just simply, hey, this product looks good, it's a good quality. Everyone can say that for the most part about their brand and their product. But if your product becomes the solution for someone, that they're feeling like this, and the music and the campaign and the story emits an opposite emotion to the current state of their lives, your product becomes the solution. Consider your music very carefully as a clothing brand. Create a playlist for your clothing brand, because the power of that is that you get to draw from that any time that you do a clothing campaign, and people will begin to associate that particular feeling that they get from that music with the experience of wearing your clothing. Customer experience is everything. It makes up for a lot of how customers associate your brand and the value that they give it. So I want you to consider this. If your brand had a playlist, what would it sound like? Make that the sound of everything you do, every clothing campaign that you create, every Instagram reel that you post. Make it the sound of that playlist. Next, we're going to look at a lookbook from FiveFourFive and how they tell the story. Let's have a look together. First of all, these photos are simply fantastic. I mean, you've got a great camera. They're probably using some sort of telephoto lens here. And then you got some super slow-mo. Man, this is so cool. Them walking, hiking through the mountainside. You've got the branded snowboards. And then finally a last shot. Yeah, I think what's really cool about this lookbook it's more focused on the scenery, what they're doing and who they are than what they're wearing. And that fact alone makes this shoot more attractive to me as a viewer, because it's less about the product. I don't even really have to care about the product to want to look at these photos. Like, this is great. Someone walking through the mountains, especially if I'm identify or wish to identify with the Italian lifestyle. I'm going to be looking at things like this anyway. I'm going to be looking at skiing in the winter time, and I'm going to be looking at people hiking through the mountains, and so the clothing in the process just becomes kind of like a side note, like, oh yeah, by the way, this is here too, so buy it if you like. However, it's not the focus, because for us as a clothing brand, we're more about selling the lifestyle than we are selling the product. And that gives a fantastic differentiation, a market differentiation, when everyone else is just selling their fleeces and their hoodies and their jumpers. I mean, because every brand in winter in Europe is selling hoodies and fleeces and jumpers. Instead of just that, it's more, what separates these winter products over all others is who's wearing them and in what context. Isn't it crazy to think that sometimes that's all that's necessary? Change up the location, change up who you're selling it to, and the same product can become absolutely potent in that space. It reminds me of a story about when the subscription model was first introduced in the business space. Netflix was one of the very, very early adopters of this, even in the days of mailing DVDs, because that's what they were doing. Before you had a subscription on a website and you could browse movies there, you would simply send DVDs back and forth and rent them. At the same time, there's a smaller company called Adobe, which makes products like Photoshop and Premiere and Illustrator. They switched to subscription, that you have to pay $70 a month to retain your membership to that software and get consistent updates. It's the same business model, but it works fantastically in these two different industries, because these industries are unique, they have unique customers, and they've never seen this model of doing business before. Now, the same is true with clothing, that you could be competing with other clothing brands, but as soon as you bring identity, as soon as you start selling a lifestyle into this, you change your category almost, and you make the same product suddenly unique. It's less about what the product is and more about who's wearing them and in what context. I've been saving the best for last, because this next video that you're about to see is a cooking show that FiveFourFive does in collaboration with the Spanish brand Nude Project. But first, here's a short break. We'll be back in one moment. I believe community is the X factor in any brand that's seen any kind of success. It's the very thing that's going to take your clothing brand from here to up here. And so I did the most logical thing. I created a community of my own of brand owners who are building their own communities. Look, it's totally free to join, and I promise being in a group of other passionate brand owners who are going to keep you accountable, who you can ask questions to, who are going to give you advice, is the very thing that's going to help you take it to the next level, especially when we're working with small teams. When you probably can't afford to have a whole room of creatives around you, well, here it is, for free. There's a link in the description that you can use to join right now. I can't wait for you to get this value. I'll see you on the other side. But for now, back to the video.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hoy hemos venido aquí para hacer una tortilla de patata o tortilla española.
Io e Bruno siamo qua che apprestiamo a preparare una ricetta, paccheri con le melanzane.
Cuciniamos.
Bene, non ci va una scienza, eh? Via.
I'm starting to cry now.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
¿Cómo vas, Luca, con la patata?
Accidenti a chi t'ha ma come metti la pasta in maniera lì? Ragazzo mio.
No. Ah, perfetto.
Però cosa hai fatto? Accidenti a t'ha fatto? Non vedi le Ma no!
No, hostias.
Ma da dove ti ha fuori te?
¡Hala! ¡Wow! Perfecto. Ya está, estupendo.
Hoy hemos hecho paccheri de tomate.
No, alla norma. È buona?
Ragazzo mio. Man, I love it. I mean, seeing content like this just makes me smile. And that's the point. right? This is the grandma's cooking show, and they're cooking traditional dishes from their cultures, from both Italy and Spain, because it's, as I said, it's a collaboration between FiveFourFive, the Italian brand, and Nude Project, the Spanish brand. But this is funny, and the amazing thing is that I don't have to be interested in the garment to watch this content. And this brings me to the concept of the buyer pyramid. It's that only 3% of your audience are buying right now. Another 7% are open to the idea but aren't necessarily in. 30% are not thinking about it. Another 30% don't think they're interested. And the bottom 30% know they are not interested. What does this mean? It's that by posting content that's all about your products and about marketing and selling your products, you're really only targeting and reaching that 10% of the market. That's it. You exclude another 90% with product focused content. And so if I'm seeing FiveFourFive entertainment content, it's a grandma's cooking show, I don't have to be interested. I could be part of the 90% that's either not interested, don't think I'm interested, or not thinking about it, and I could still be watching their channel. I could still be following this account. Don't exclude your customers. Don't exclude parts of the audience by posting only your product. What happens as a result of me watching their entertainment content, not being interested in buying their product yet, is that I will slowly move towards the bottom of the funnel where I'm getting closer and closer to buying a product, where I know I'm not interested, to I don't think I'm interested, to I might be interested, but I'm not thinking about it, to I'm open to the idea, to the 3% that's buying. What you're doing with content that is not about your product is that you're maximizing the 3%, or you're maximizing the likelihood that an audience member will move from the bottom 30% that's definitely not interested to the top 3% that are already buying. To put it in these terms, makes a pretty freaking good business case for creating non-promotional advertisements that aren't about your product, but are rather about the value that you bring to your audience. In the case of FiveFourFive, because they are representing the Italian lifestyle, they are creating a piece of content about a little sub-idea of this lifestyle, cooking. Cooking is a big part of Italian culture. And so, of course, it makes sense to make a cooking show then, because those that are interested in the Italian culture, that represent it, that wish to be associated with it, are going to enjoy content that's about cooking, that's funny, that's maybe even relatable if you are Italian and you have grandmothers that love to cook and that you've been told, like in this video, stay away from the food, don't touch, don't eat until it's ready. Another thought that comes to mind is that this video could be made into a long form YouTube video. And this brings me to the point of building relational equity. Google, through studies, found out the 7-11-4 rule. It's that before customers buy, they need at least 7 hours, 11 interactions on 4 different platforms with your brand. This is all about building relational equity, becoming a company that your customers know, like, and trust to be able to buy from. Only creating short form content on Instagram, it's going to be very difficult to build 7 hours of relational equity. Think about it like this. If you're posting 30-second or 60-second videos, that might take you 6 or 12 months to build up 7 hours of relational equity. That's crazy. And maybe you'll get those 11 interactions or 11 touch points, but also 4 different platforms. You need to have some in real world. You need to have some on Instagram. You need to have some on YouTube. Solve these problems by creating a long form series from this same cooking show where you have the short form clips up on Instagram, 30 seconds. If I'm interested and I found it enjoyable and I want to watch some more, what am I going to do? I'm going to go and watch a 15 or 10 or to 20 minute video cooking show on YouTube. This way I can build the same amount of relational equity in 2 weeks rather than 6 months. So now to the founder of the FiveFourFive brand, Sante. Fantastic content. I love what you're doing. I have a project proposal for you. if you want to create more of a community around your brand. I believe this will do so, so I'd love you to hear it out. I would create a video with everyday Italians, even finding them on the streets, and ask them a simple question: what does it mean to be Italian? I would compile their answers and create a montage of clips to visualize their answers. For example, if some of them said the food, the beach, or the music, I would incorporate videos of all of these things as they're saying it. And in the process, you're seeing the faces of real Italian people. Now, you don't need to be focused on them wearing the product or even it being about the product. Just as it has been with the content that you've already created, it's all about the lifestyle. And they're sharing with you what the lifestyle is. And to take advantage of this content idea for all that it's got, you could create one master video which has all of the people and their answers. Let's just say you asked 15 or 20 people. And then you have smaller focused videos each for each of the individuals that you interview about this question, what it means to be an Italian. This way, as a company, you really anchor your brand to the Italian culture and the Italian community, those that already represent that lifestyle. And better still, if some of those people are Italian influencers, create partner or collaboration posts with those people so that you leverage their audience to build your own. So Sante, you could steal that idea, or you could get me on board because there's a lot more ideas where that came from. And dear listener, if you know Sante or someone who knows Sante, please share this with them. I'd love them to hear these ideas and maybe put some of them into action. That would be awesome. Well, thanks very much for watching this episode of Brand Breakdown. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. And if it was really good, you can trust that I create a lot more value in other places than just here on YouTube. And that's the case for my school community. So don't forget to use the link in the description if you're a brand owner that wants to build a tribe of superfan customers. Join that, learn how, and be a part of a community of other brand owners that are doing the same. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Elijah Delport, and I'll see you for another Brand Breakdown.